Walking simulators are boring, right? I mean, by nature, a walking simulator is mostly just walking. Some people are looking for the constant stimulation offered by other games, sliding into a firefight, walls exploding around you, swords clanging together in pitched medieval battles, walking through a quiet house with only the occasional music cue or voiceover to interrupt the silence. Not the most riveting thing, but it's something that's offered by many walking simulators, and something that many are drawn to. Walking simulators are, in many ways, the most open kind of narrative available. They're the books of video games without needing you to put forth any effort to read anything, usually. Whether it's a studio like the Chinese Room with a machine for pigs, or just a different frictional-like experience where you can wander from place to place, learning the story of the location, you are living a book-like narrative experience that is usually reserved for reading. Gone Home is a game about the player character, Katie, returning from a trip abroad to find an empty house with notes scattered about telling the complex story of what her home was like after she left. You amble your way from room to room, scouring each drawer and dresser looking for the next story beat. In your journey to find new information, you blatantly disregard the privacy of your family members, flipping through their innermost private memories and documents, piecing together what you can about what happened. These moments can be eventful, but the sections that stick with you are the voice diary sections you find from Katie's sister, Samantha.
Oh my god. You are so lucky you finished high school before we moved into this house.
The diary entries tell the tale of Samantha and her love interest, Lonnie, as she navigates the difficulties of having a lesbian relationship in a house where the parents don't accept you. Running away, couples counseling, failed novellas, ghosts in the house, and a love for punk music are all the things you'll come across in your dissection of the Greenbrier home. A cursory glance at the developers behind Gone Home, Fulbright, shows that they did not have a huge studio to fall back on. The decision to start a walking simulator usually starts due to the smaller budget needed to get the game off the ground. Fulbright took this to the extreme, since not only were they working on the game together, but they were also living in the same house, art commune style. That really describes the devs quite well, actually. They did not enjoy the lives of big-budget studios and wanted a smaller one with more intimate projects to sink their teeth into. They wanted a game with, quote, an intimate narrative, so it's no surprise that their first game would be Gone Home with a small budget of around $200,000. Starting life as a mod for Amnesia, Gone Home quickly became its own experience, with development led by Steve Gaynor. Gaynor led his team through Gone Home's development and into their next game, Tacoma, but after that, amid expansions of their numbers and eventually accusations of different grievances leveled at Gaynor, the studio all but disbanded. As of 2025, Gaynor is now the sole employee at the studio. There's only speculation as to what caused this rift to form, but that exists beyond the scope of this essay. Returning home, you may have some questions. Why is her diary scattered around the house? Why is your first inclination upon returning home to immediately begin tearing apart your house looking for information? Well, because it's a game. And because it's a way to show you a scene and tell you what's happening there. And because what else are you going to do with such a big, empty house? Technically, what the average person would do is get home from their trip, realize no one's home, and go to their room to kill time until someone gets home or something happens. In-game, this would be you loading in, finding nothing to do, and then uninstalling. For those of us who do the former and begin to investigate what's going on, we're able to piece together information about our immediate family members and the things they're trying to hide. This method truly allows you to see and imagine what is happening in this home. Like other walking simulators, the story needs to stay front and center. Without a good story to fall back on, the gameplay loop would get old very fast. Gone Home does benefit from its own anonymity. Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs is a fantastic game with a similar premise. You arrive home from an unknown beginning and you must find notes and pages throughout your house to piece together the story of what happened in the days and years since you've been gone. Although mostly lambasted for being a poor game and a poor sequel to the game that is synonymous with 2010's horror, Amnesia: Dark Descent, A Machine for Pigs delivers a stellar story that is easier to grasp than the originals. Unlike Gone Home, the Amnesia game have a legacy to live up to. Soma, Amnesia 2018, and others are the continued legacy Amnesia puts forward, while Gone Home lives in the realm of the Stanley Parable, or Firewatch, which I haven't played yet, but it's on my backlog. The world of relaxed, story-rich gameplay and narrative focus. The gameplay is consistent with that of the average walking simulator, with few gameplay elements besides the various doors, drawers, and cabinets that you interact with. There is the occasional secret at play where you're required to double back to figure out, but it's mostly a linear experience with the occasional path that leads off. There's a fairly clear path you are intended to proceed down, through the front door, exploring the side rooms in the foyer, then through the downstairs hall, systematically clearing rooms as you go. After exploring the extent of which the downstairs has to offer, you head upstairs. You can go upstairs at any time, but there's something about the dark staircase leading up to the unknown above that works to keep you away for as long as you can stay away. It isn't until you are forced by lack of alternatives that you proceed up those foreboding stairs. Although not a horror game, many elements of the game are thematically horror. The stairs, which you've avoided for as long as possible, are a foreboding mountain you have to scale, marking the end of the first act of the game. The various secret tunnels you find throughout the game are choking and uncomfortable. The basement is lived in, packed to the ceiling, and feels more like it belongs in the gothic basement of a Scooby-Doo villain. My initial 2 playthroughs, some months apart, I noticed many of these hidden details, but I wasn't able to find the solutions to these secrets. It wasn't until I was collecting film for this video that I completed the alternate endings and found a lot of the secrets the game has to offer. I will not get into the secrets of the game, since it's a short experience and it's a cheap game on sale that you should pick up for yourself and try out. The shortcomings of the game are the same as many other walking simulators. The time before the story is fully presented can drag on for a long while. This is mitigated in Gone Home by the paltry 2-hour length the game has to offer. In the beginning, before you get into the juicy details of the main story, it can be a chore to get through at times. This is down to there not being any interactions you can have with the house. There are the voice sections that are intriguing and sections where you have to do things to get new places, but it's mostly just walk in one direction, experience everything the game has to offer, walk in another direction, and experience everything else. Although, this is not terrible. As I mentioned, this game reminds me a lot of reading, but some people may be disappointed that there isn't more interaction like the previously mentioned games Firewatch and Stanley Parable have. Another thing that I found odd about the game upon my first playthrough is that it's not a horror game. Upon researching this on various reviews on Steam and Reddit threads, I found that I was not the only person who thought this game was a horror game at first, but that just might be down to its aforementioned horror roots as an amnesia mod. Walking simulators are generally not what you go to when you're looking for gameplay that is replayable and enthralling. It's the story that drags you in. Gone Home is a game that is anything but lacking in story, and it deserves to be talked about for what it does well. Although it has its shortcomings, these are easily overlooked once you get into the story, find that first journal, and listen to the audio to accompany the text dumps. The music and the voice lines in the story truly create an atmospheric experience that is decently replayable and creates a lasting impression on me and many other people. Although not endlessly replayable, Gone Home is not trying to be. It's trying to tell a meaningful story and leave you thinking at the conclusion. I suppose, in that case, I was wrong to compare it to a novel at the start of this essay. It is far more reminiscent of a short story. It delivers what it came to deliver, and then leaves you before overstaying its welcome. And in that metric, it's the perfect way to spend 2 hours of your time.